Have you ever dreamed to create an IT startup and couldn't do that because you had a limited budget, different kind of doubts and what-if questions? If you did, you're in the proper place. Hello everyone, you are at the Sinneo Visual Programming Studio channel and I'm its founder Andrei Ilinskii. Currently you are watching the rubric which is called Entrepreneur Stories. This rubric is dedicated to the persons who started their own business and were able to manage a lot of issues and problems at the start. Our today's guest is Eric Levis from the United States, the founder of Quick Pickup application. Today, he will tell us his personal story. He will describe what issues and problems he had at the beginning, and he will tell us all the solutions he has found in the process. Let's see what he would tell us. I'm definitely inspired to know it. There is no secret that many startuppers and beginners in the business very often start their startups in parallel with the main job. Tell me please about your current or possible past job. What's your business now?
I'm a high school math teacher. I've been in education for almost 30 years now, and I'm looking to retire. So the startup that I am doing is not directly related to education at all. It's related to moving cargo around.
Mm-hmm.
Though I do have a different, completely different business of sorts or business interests in buying and selling, fixing real estate.
Tell me please, Eric, do you have in your personal environment some friends or comrades who are involved in IT business in United States? If you have, what did they tell you about being a businessman in IT sphere in the USA? What is it like?
Yeah, IT in the United States is very cutthroat, very aggressive business. And the people that I know that are related, involved in it, everyone thinks it's very difficult to get a startup in. It's very costly is the biggest thing. And because there are so many different styles of startup businesses,
Mm-hmm.
it is hard to make your business well known.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very expensive in the United States to get an app made. So the commitment, the financial commitment is cost prohibitive, meaning that many people who want to do something with an app can't do it because it's extremely expensive here.
Wow. And can you give some examples with numbers? Just something, what you remember.
Oh, wow. I had examples of, at least what I wanted to do. I got low cost when people didn't quite understand what I wanted, which was around 10,000. Then once people understood what I wanted, it went 10,000, 17,000, 20,000, 26,000.
Wow.
Yeah. Once they understood what I wanted, the price kept going up higher, higher, and higher. Because you're paying in the United States, you're paying per hour for a group of people.
Mm-hmm.
So the hourly rate here it's too expensive for the average person to create an app. Unless you do it yourself. Unless you do it yourself, there's no way of, not no way, but it's very costly.
According to the words of your friends, that being businessman in the United States, it's not so cool. Not so cool.
It's cost prohibitive, meaning that it's almost too expensive to start this type of business.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost too expensive for an average person. If you're rich, then you can start a business, as often as you want. But an average person trying to start in a tech type business, it's really expensive and difficult. So that's why a lot of people that start tech business are tech people, because they do the work themselves.
And how long did you realize that you would like to start your own business?
I've always wanted to start my own business, not always wanted to do tech type businesses, but I've always, wanted to do my own work for myself. That's why I got into real estate, buy, fix, and sell. So what they call it here is flipping flipping properties. And I've always wanted to do that. I've done that for years and years. But because I flipped properties, it kind of led me into this business, into the cargo moving business.
The next question I have, when you realized that you are ready to do something yours, and when you definitely realized that you have a cool idea, I suppose you were asking about some suggestions or some opinion of your friends and comrades. What did they tell you when you told them, "Hey guys, I have a cool idea and I think I'm ready to do that"? Did they tell you something like, "Oh no, dude, don't do that. Your life will turn into the hell. Don't start
Yeah,
it."
yeah. Well, you always get people that are naysayers tell you don't do something.
Hmm.
That's always there. But you listen to people, and you listen to people's fears and their impressions of how things will go badly for you. Because particularly here, the biggest concern is it's too expensive. You're going to lose all your money. That's the biggest problem. But on the other side, when I tell them what I want to do and how I want to do it, then they realize, oh, wait a minute, that's a really cool idea. And they realize, wait a minute, there's a need for that.
Hmm.
There's a need for a business like that, where I'm located. In my location, there's just a need for it. And considering the pandemic and financial situation most people find themselves in due to the pandemic, a lot of people need to make more money,
Hmm.
at least possibilities. What we call is a side hustle. People need a job that they can control and potentially make money on the side, you
Hmm.
know, not the 9 to 5 job. So
And
that
what
was my experience.
and what about you? Before informing your friends, did you have any your own doubts about what shall happen?
Yeah, well, of course, I have the short answer is yes. Of course, I have my own doubts about it.
What were they
Um,
like?
the biggest thing is cost, right? It also Another doubt is how fast will it grow,
Hmm.
and
Did you
maybe
ask
it grows.
yourself? Did you ask yourself something like, "What would be if?"
Yeah, a bunch of ifs. Yeah, what can possibly happen? One thing, what could happen if
Hmm.
it grows too fast?
Hmm.
What happens if I can never find a developer
Hmm.
to get my ideas? You also worry about someone stealing your idea. If it's a good idea, you worry about somebody stealing it and doing it faster, better than you can do it. So there's a lot of ifs and there's a lot of concerns, but you just keep going. Even though you're afraid, let's say you're afraid of the dark, you just take one step into the dark and the next step into the dark and the next step, and eventually you get past the dark. You just get
Hmm.
past it, or you just get comfortable. You're not afraid of the dark. Or better one is walking through a forest. If you're afraid to walk through forest, you just keep walking and you get comfortable with the forest, or you get past the forest. So it's the same idea with this business idea. You just go, okay, I'm uncomfortable, particularly me. I'm not a tech person, you know that. So going and doing all this tech stuff, you have to overcome not fear, but your lack of knowledge of this environment. I totally don't understand the environment of the computers and the tech. This, I mean, of course, I use computers in what I do every day, but in that regard, in the development field, I just don't have that background knowledge. But you push through it and you do the things you don't want to do or do things that you don't like to do, and you just take step by step by step, and eventually it becomes your environment, and you're okay with it.
So I think we can turn to your project, to your
Mhm.
idea. Would you be so kind to tell us in 2 words what Quick Pickup application is about?
Is small individual companies, individuals
Hmm.
transporting transporting cargo for into other individuals.
Hmm.
So it came about when if I'm transporting, let's say, large pieces of materials for a job,
Hmm.
and I don't have the vehicle for it. I used to have the vehicle for it, but then I had a problem with the vehicle. But now I don't have a vehicle, so I have to rely on someone else and inconvenience family and friends to transport the materials. So this was always the case. Everybody has been in a situation where you don't have the vehicle to transport something large. And so I said, okay, the remedy to this is what? And so I just started thinking about ways to help people transport items without having the vehicle to do it themselves. And
Ex-
that's all quick pickup is.
Mhm. And how is the process of transportation in United States organized generally now? What is the general problem at the market, and why did you decide that your
Well,
application could be a great solution?
yes. So if you want to transport something, you have to rent a vehicle from some very expensive company, and they give you an hourly rate, let's say, $40 an hour. And if you keep it for so long, you have to keep it for the whole entire day. I mean, to transport, let's say, a piece of plywood or some plywood, the number of pieces of plywood, let's say, it could take you 4 or 5 hours. And so the plywood that would normally be relatively inexpensive, now you have to add another $200-300 on to because you have to rent a truck.
Mhm.
So, or let's say if you buy a piece of furniture from a store and you don't have the car, now they add on the fee for to transport the furniture. So it just keeps adding fees onto where you don't want to do that.
Mhm.
So I looked at it, says, okay, if you're going to pay somebody a fee, $100, $50, $200, why not pay your neighbor? Right? Instead of
Yeah.
asking your neighbor in like the inconvenience, your neighbor may do it. Okay, I'll do it. And then the neighbor feels uncomfortable accepting money from you. So
Mhm.
the neighbor doesn't get any money and you feel uncomfortable asking the person. And it just makes a weird relationship. Quick pickup eliminates all that, right? I don't have to pay a high price. I don't have to, inconvenience my neighbor. I could tell my neighbor, here, just download the app and we'll do it that way. Or you can do it with a stranger. Here, stranger has the app, has a car, has the vehicle that you need. They just come pick up the furniture or the plywood and take it to your house. It's nothing personal. Everybody gets paid. Everybody's happy, and you get a service, and it's not expensive. That's the whole idea.
It sounds like a great answer. Thank you. I understood a
Yes,
lot.
sir. Yeah.
Some minutes ago, when we were discussing how you informed your friends about your business idea, you told such a phrase. When your friends heard you, they told, "Wait a minute, it's a really good idea." And if we take not so small audience, if we take, for instance, a little bit bigger audience,
Yes.
did you provide any kind of research to identify that your idea is viable?
Viable on a large scale. Yes, I did. Not a great deal of research, but United States is kind of homogeneous, right? What applies in one place applies almost everywhere,
Hmm.
right? Um, so you can see it everywhere you go in the United States that there is a need for this type of business because everywhere, because like for example, our stores are large stores throughout the whole country.
Hmm.
So a fee to take a couch from the store to your house in Chicago will be the same or more in LA. It'll be the same or more expensive in New York or
Hmm.
anywhere in Florida. So our problems and our businesses are, like I said, kind of homogeneous that applies across the whole country. So, and everybody runs into the situation of not having the proper vehicle to move items.
Hmm.
So when I thought about that, I said, would this be viable on a larger scale? Right. And I just dropped my daughter off to college. And she says, Dad, I wish your app was up and going because everybody needs to get furniture from the store to their dorm room. Everybody needs to do it.
So
And
you
you
so you
can't.
were blessed with your daughter.
Yes, 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 yes. So that, and she's in Portland. So we understand that like I said, it's kind of a universal thing that people need to transport items. that they don't have the vehicle for, even on a very large scale.
Let's talk about the implementation of that. The first question I'd like to ask you about the strategy with what you have chosen for implementation. You have chosen an option to cooperate with no-code development studios. Did you learn something about building MVP products before you contact us? And how did you learn about it?
Oh, wow. No, those types of products, I have no idea. Again, I wasn't, and I still don't consider myself into the technical/development side of it. I didn't know that. I didn't know the difference between no code and coding. I know about coding. I don't code, but I know about it. I'm in school, so I know that it exists. I did not know that no coding versus coding and the intricacies between the differences between the two. And there is a difference, but I just didn't know the difference about it. Technically, I have no idea about how it's done. I got a clue about it, and I'm sure I could learn it if that was my thing. That's what I wanted to do, but I have no idea about it. And working with you guys has been a learning process. And I still don't know everything behind it, but I do understand coding apps and coding and no coding. I think I have a grasp of that idea, but what goes on behind it, no idea.
How did you know about no code development? I mean, your first time when you knew about it.
The first time I've ever seen no coding happen was years and years and years and years ago, where I was having students program robots. Right. So it was a language that was used to code. To code and to make the robot do things, but it was a language that wasn't directly coding for children. So they would take these pieces of program and just stack them and make the robot do whatever they wanted it to do by not coding but understanding the language, which in my idea that's kind of what no coding is. Right? They weren't programming in C++. They could, we didn't know that. I didn't know that.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
But they were just taking these bits of program and stacking them and moving them around. So that's my understanding of no code program.
Generally, you're right. Right. Yeah. Let's get back some month ago. So you have built the concept of your product, and I think that you had different options how to start doing that. Did you communicate with some coding studios to know how much will it cost for you? How long will they implement?
Yes, I tell people this. I started looking here in the United States, and I forgot the names of the companies that I spoke with. Then I spoke to someone who was based in Japan, and then that led me to someone that was based in India. So I did, a lot of not a lot of research. I did research and search for companies and pricing. And I had good pricing before. The further you got away from the United States, the more reasonable the pricing was. But
what did they offer you?
Oh, I was looking at 10,000, 7,000 ish. But those things changed every time I told them exactly what I want.
When you have given them some details, the price were increasing.
Yeah, things started adding on. It still wasn't ridiculous, but you still go, okay, that's not what that's not what I'm trying to do. And when I eventually got to you guys, I like the fact that I didn't feel comfortable. Also, there's also a comfortability. Like I have to send my money to somebody that I don't know, and you could just take it and run. So the fact that we had Nina. And I know people in Russia, and so I trusted Nina and the people that I knew, and they were like, okay, yeah, go with this company. You can trust them; you'll be fine. So the fact that I had a liaison that I can talk to, so that makes a difference as far as trust and the amount, and all those other things that we've come into play.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure for me to hear that we deserved your trust.
Yes, yes. Also, too, I looked at a couple other things. Nina actually showed me a couple other things that you guys have done. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is a nice professional job. All right, let's go. And she, recommended like, oh yeah, this is a nice company, trustable company, blah blah blah. Again, so somebody that speaks the same language, knows the situation. It's important that you have like a bridge of trust, right? So I have a friend, I trust that friend, and that friend trusts Nina, and then Nina trusts
Hmm.
you, and so forth and so on. Okay, you got that part out. So that's how that works. It's a long answer.
Great. The one thing I'd like to ask you more about your communication with traditional coders. And do you remember what terms did they offer you?
I don't remember. I'm
Approximately.
not. Yeah, I would say they were talking 4 to 6 months ish.
Hmm.
And they were, the payment amounts I forgot. Those kind of things just didn't really stick in my head because I was doing so many other things. Also, to keep in mind, we're in pandemic mode, and it was a strange time anyway. So I just didn't store that information in my head.
Hmm.
So much things
Okay,
going on.
okay, 6-8 months. It's an average terms which coders
Yeah.
offers. Okay. Um, when you were offered to create your project with no-code tools, what did you think about it at that moment when you were offered? Did you have any skepticism about it?
Yeah, I had some skepticism about it because I thought that no code would not be able to do exactly what I wanted it to do. It seems fine. It seemed to work just fine. But before, I just thought like, okay, I thought it would be harder to change things. I thought it would be harder to update. Do the version 1.2, 1.5, 1. Different versions. That's my impression of it. But you guys were seeming to be able to change and update things in a matter of hours. Okay, right. If I
Hmm.
asked Nina, I said, Nina, hey, I need to change this. They're like, okay, it's done in 2 hours. Oh, okay, great. So it was much quicker and more malleable than I thought, more changeable than I thought it would. That was my biggest issue.
Back a little about money. I like to speak about money.
Hmm.
So I asked you if you communicated with some traditional coding studios. Tell me about our American competitors of no coding, if they were, of course.
Now, you know
If
what? I
someone,
never spoke to anyone. I never spoke to anyone in the United States, no coding developers, not
uh-huh.
one. And maybe that's why the price was so expensive.
Hmm.
But yeah, never I spoke because it was new to me, so I didn't know about no coder.
Hmm.
But I never spoke to anyone about pricing about no coding. Everyone it was code development from scratch. Every person I spoke with.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
okay,
I
I
didn't
got it.
I didn't really have a comparison between you guys and someone else as far as no coding. I learned about no coding once I got to start speaking to someone in Japan, which is speaking to someone in India and so forth and so on.
Listen.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. My next question. Give us, please, a small review on work we have done. Can you describe for our viewers and visitors what options can user do in Quick Pickup, and what's the target audience of this application? Who will find it
Oh,
useful?
well, it's one, the app is nice and smooth. I like the crispness, the cleanness of the app. I don't know, I'm trying to figure out the word. I don't know. The app looks clean. It looks nice, and how the users can use it. Is that what you're saying? How can somebody? What would they do to use it?
Yes.
From my yeah. Well, the usability seems to be nice, right? I haven't had any glitches. Anything that we went through seems to work fine. Um, I would like to change some of my own wording that was in there. But as far as the users, from the user point of view, it's nice and simple and easy. And I want it that way. I don't want it to be complicated and the user has to do a great number of things. It's just nice and simple. My ideas that I relate to you guys worked out just fine the way. Of course, we'll change it as more people use it and you get more suggestions and so forth and so on.
Feedback.
But yeah, it's as far as I can tell, it seems to be user friendly. The only thing the user has to do is go on and just follow the prompts, right? You just go in, you make your profile, and you say what you're transporting. It's easy, and it's for a driver. Again, it's easy. You make your profile. Everybody's used to making profiles now, so that's easy. You do some basic things about your vehicle, maybe take a picture of it, so forth and so on. The communication between the client and the driver, that's the easy communication. I can communicate easily with the drivers and the client from quick pickups point of view. It seems like a simple app. I'm sure we'll find something that we didn't think about, but from where it stands right now, everything looks great.
Mm-hmm. And who can use your application? Is it for ordinary people like me or you, or for instance, I don't know, some companies can use it for their issues?
Anyone, actually, everyone. To answer the quick answer, every person on the planet can use it. Everyone, and you don't have to have a pickup truck to do it. That's one question that I keep asking. Do I have to have a pickup? I'm like, no, you do not. You can have any car, because let's say if you're in a city center, and we call it downtown. If you're in the city center and someone needs to take a document from point A to point B, you don't need a pickup truck to do that. You can just say, yeah, I can take this document, because they need it let's say in some legal situation. They could anybody with any size car could put the document in their car, drive it. Somebody comes downstairs and you take the document back upstairs. So anyone can do it. You do not have to have a pickup. Now, I also talked to someone who has a small trucking company that says, okay, could I use this with a number of trucks? I said, actually, we didn't set it up that way, but I'm sure we could figure out a way to have your company on quick pickup that can just move cargo through our app. But that's a little something to figure out. But to answer your question, any and everyone, small companies, large companies, individuals should be able to use that app.
My next question. What's your future plans about our application we've done together?
More immediately, once we launch the app, I want to see how, like you said, how viable it is on a large scale. Can it handle everything on a large scale? Mm-hmm. And hopefully it can, and hopefully it would be easy to change / update. Everything needs another version to upgrade. So I look forward to working with you guys to maintain the app and to improve the app, as we go, as we see needed. Right now, it's in its infancy, but as it grows, the idea is that you guys can be there to help grow the company.
And my last question for our today's conversation. The things that happening with you several last month can be called like a positive experience. You had some doubts, you had some issues, but finally you've done it. You've managed everything and you are here. What recommendations could you give to boys and girls, men and women who are at the same stage where you were some month ago?
Recommendation. Take baby steps forward. It's really easy if you have a lot of questions in your head to never move, right? Like, you have to think out every possible detail, every possibility. You have to think and think and think, and you never actually move forward. I would suggest, okay, you don't have to figure out everything. Get somebody that you can trust and who believes in your idea, and move it forward just a little bit, one step, a little bit each day. And that would be my biggest thing. Even if you're uncomfortable, you're afraid of failure, all these other things, okay, just take the steps forward, a bit by bit by bit. Take a step forward, and then you'll get to where we are now. And even still, I have steps forward to take. Just because the app is developed and ready to get on Google Play and so forth. So just because it's all ready, there's still more to get done, right? So I'm in that process still. Even though I'm done with the development of the app stage, I still have to. Okay, now I have to do advertising. I'm not an advertiser. Okay, I have to figure out ways to advertise. So you still always are moving forward step by step, but changing yourself, changing your perceptions of how things go. And maybe you fail miserably, but so what, right? You move forward, even if you fail miserably. That's my suggestion.
So, what can we learn from this story? As for me, this conversation was about teaching us how to be ready to make a risk. Even if you don't know what to do, even if you think that all the budget and terms offers that you received are not suitable for you and you have no ideas where to get the better ones, even if you don't know what's gonna happen if you do something wrong trying to build your business, you always should keep going and never start being afraid. As for me, being a risky person much more better than being a coward. I liked a phrase Eric told today. It sounded something like, even if you don't know what's gonna happen, you still keep making steps into the dark. You make one step into the dark, the second step into the dark, one more step into the dark, but finally you will find the issue. So I think the conclusion of our today's conversation and the main point, what Eric wanted to tell you, don't be afraid of doing the things you would like. The light door is already in front of you. You just need to open it. And to do that, you shouldn't be frightened. Thank you for your attention, guys. Subscribe our YouTube channel, follow our social networks, and visit our site. And the most important, be waiting of our next videos. I swear you, we will do all our best to provide you a useful and helpful content. See you later. Bye.